Check out this cab corner we just laser welded in with the XTOOL METALFAB. Hey, welcome to Square Max Customs. On today's episode, we're going to be hand fabricating a cab corner and laser welding it in with the XTOOL METALFAB on this 1987 GMC S15 SIERRA, or as we like to call her, Suicide Sierra. As you can see, she's a very solid truck, especially for an 87. So with that being said, I would love to take care of this little bit of rust here before it spreads any further. So that's today's project. Well, our next step is to get our patient prepped for surgery. And we're gonna use a 60 grit on a flat disc to do that. Just look how solid this little truck is. I love these trucks. That's not that bad, huh? So there's a few ways you can do this. You can mark it out with a marker and a straight edge. You can just go at it with a cut-off wheel and just cut your piece out. It really don't matter. You can take tape. You can use tape and tape it out. Me, I actually prefer just to use a marker. And I like my stuff somewhat straight. I don't know. It's just what I like. To each their own. Well, there's our rusty, crusty piece. The rest of it in there looks freaking phenomenal. Suck that little bit of stuff out and we'll spray some rust prohibitor inside here. It's a solid little truck. And we'll trim a little bit up here in the corner. And we'll make a new piece is what we'll do. Pull out the CAD design. Definitely a sweet machine. XTOOL METALFAB. Well, usually I like to take a piece of cardboard and trace my piece out that I need. I like to use a cereal box or something along that line. It's easier to trace. But this piece is so small, we're not going to waste our time doing that. So, and I want this piece slightly bigger because we got to wrap that corner on the back of the cab. So with that being said, we're going to make her long. That way it'll also help us make that bend, and then we'll trim her down afterwards. But to start with, we'll make her just a little long, because you can always trim it. It's not as much fun to add. So I'm gonna get that piece cut out and we'll bring it over and start bending it up into place. I'm just gonna run her through the roller a couple times. Nothing crazy, just a little bit, because almost no panel on a vehicle is really flat. And I'm gonna go both ways. I'm gonna run it in both sides. See that? just slightly not flat no more. But look, the oil cannon's out of it. Look, I told you, GMC S15 SIERRA Classic. I know, I thought all the Sierras were the full size too. But hey, we all learn something new now and then, huh? What a solid little truck. Such a nice little truck. Well, good thing we're tackling this rust before it got any further. Hey, isn't that a weird spot for it to rust out? Like a cab corner obviously rusts out, but usually, from my experience, they start rusting out back down here where everything sits and fills up. This was like in the center of the thing. There was nothing. I don't know. Either way, we're going to massage the piece until we can get her to fit in there almost perfect. There's a billion ways to do this. You can do it your way. This is my way. Find my marker. You can see it starts to roll like right here. So we'll put a couple different bends in it and we'll get her to roll around the corner to where we want it. I cut all the rust out. I'll probably trim that up a little bit different before we get going. And that's not a bad fit already, huh? So we'll start rolling it right about here and right about there. Yep. So that'll give us our kick for the backside. So I'm not sure what your all opinions are, but we gotta make that bend and it's round. So I think this ratchet has the same bend that we need there. So with that being said, this is gonna be our brake, our roller. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. I think what we'll try to do here is we'll just clamp the metal to the ratchet. And then we'll roll it around. That worked fine. Do you know what time it is? It's time to pull the box off. Can't get behind it to weld the cab corner up, so off she comes. Never a dull moment when you're into classics. Well, I unbolted the whole bed, unhooked the wiring harness, and unhooked the fueler neck. And then I got thinking about it as I was unhooking the filler neck, and I was like, why don't I just put 2 bolts back in the one side and just try to tip it up like, you know, you fellers that do the fuel pumps at home that don't cut the hole in the bed, that only unbolt 1/2 and tip it up? Well, that's what I figure we'll do. Maybe it'll give me enough room to do my cab corner. At least that's what I'm hoping. Look at that. Well, that just saved us a whole bunch of time and we don't have to take the whole bed off. And now I can clean back here and we can weld back there. It'll look even better. Oh, that's awesome. Oh yeah, this truck used to have a red pinstripe in the center. Dang, our metal fabrication on that piece is so good she don't even need no weld. So there's that. Now it's time to pull the XTOOL METALFAB out and laser weld this thing in here. Couple quick tacks and she's in place. That came out nice. A little fine tuning here and there. Look at how smooth it laid that. In like 2 seconds. We'll barely have any grinding. That's awesome. Oh, I'll tell you what. With that thing not leaving a big pile of weld on there, I guess it'll be really fast to flap or disc the weld off to make it smooth. That's awesome. I will say it did get a little warm, but it didn't seem to warp it. I'm not sure how it would do on a long panel, but I mean, that turned an hour worth of tack welding into like 3 minutes, so that was pretty cool. And like I said, there's barely any grind in it. It like burnt in there really nice. So I guess you can go over it a couple times too if you want. Nice. I need barely any filler on that. Check that out. Pretty freaking nice. Alright, I'm going to get this stuff picked up and we're going to get a little bit of fiberglass out and run some fiberglass over that and sand it down, put some primer on it. Oh yeah, and bolt the box back on. Yay! XTOOL METALFAB. Well, you know the name of the game. Take some out, put it on the cardboard, mix it around. We don't need a lot because, well, that welded on there really nice. So we just need a little bit. As you like to know, I like to use this like Bad Chad and mix it into my filler to make it extra soupy. So when I spread it on there, it goes on extra smooth. Don't forget to pop some hardener in there. Remember, don't go crazy. You don't need a ton of hardener. It'll freaking harden, trust me, as long as you got some in there. Well, then it's as simple as just spreading it on there. If you put too much on, you just sand it back off. That's fine. I like to put extra on. That way, it's only one time I gotta put it on. And of course, I mixed up way too much. That's fine. I'd rather have more than enough than not enough. It just sucks to waste it. Well, that's not too bad. I'm gonna hit that with a DA with 120 on it just to knock it down a little bit, and then I'll block sand it a little bit and we'll get some sandable primer on it. What I'm trying to do here is lay the filler on to go. This has 2 coats of paint on it. This truck's been painted, but the second coat of paint was real thin. It was just a spray over. And I wanna make the filler level with that. So hopefully it'll be like a paint with a couple pieces of paper thick is what I'm trying to tell you when it's all said and done. Well, she's all roughly sanded off. I'm gonna hit it quick with about 3-4 coats of the sandable primer in a can. And we'll let that dry. We'll sand that a little bit and we'll spray some black on it. It'll look good as, well, it'll look better than it was, that's for sure. Well, now that I got it all primed, I'm gonna finish block sanding this and then we'll lay a couple layers of paint on it and see how it looks. Way better than a rust hole, huh? I just tack ragged it real quick. I'm just gonna spray some clear on it to help protect it a little bit, and well, we can bolt the bed back on and call this project done. Little tack coat, we'll let that dry and put another coat on. Right, the moment we've all been waiting for. Let's pull her off. Not bad for a little work truck. Got rid of the rust on her. Piece by piece. Voila! That freaking looks awesome, huh? I like it. Looks good. Alright, let's get the rest of this thing bolted back together and oh cool, that's so much better than a big rust hole. And that welder laid that stuff so smooth. That was time saving right there alone, not having to grind the heck out of that. And it was faster. I'll tell you what, for some engine paint and some clear coat we had laying around and a piece of metal that was donated from the Elka Saturn's old trunk lid, you can't even tell that there used to be a rust hole there. I'm gonna throw the bed bolts in. I gotta bolt the gas filler back up and the wiring harness because, well, originally I planned to take the whole bed off, but then I was like, well, I could just tilt it and do the one side. So we'll get that done. Oh, hey. Well, that's it for this episode. I hope you all enjoyed. We took a rusty cab corner and we cut it out, and we fabricated a new one, and we laser welded it in with the XTOOL METALFAB. That made quick work of it, and well, we barely had any weld to grind down, so that was pretty cool. I'm going to leave a link for it in the description if you want to all go check it out. I appreciate you all watching. I'll see you all next week. Peace!